All right, guys, so today we're talking about the power of power rules. That's your title. Go ahead and work on this warm up here. Pause the video to work on it. All right, so for number A, for letter A here, I got 2c to the third d. I got 6c d to the negative 10. All right. Our negative exponents, we know they need to go to the bottom. So we can go ahead and put this on the bottom half of the fraction if we would like. So if I'm going to do that, d to the 10 is on the bottom, and I won't have it anymore on the top. All right, now we can go ahead and start simplifying, starting with my coefficients, 2 and 6. They are multiplying, so 2 times 6 is 12. My C's, I have C3 and I have C1. They're multiplying, meaning I need to add the exponents. 3 plus 1 is 4. My D's, on the other hand, I got 1 on top and 1 on the bottom. That means I need to subtract. 1 minus 10 gives me 9, and that means D9 is going to be on the bottom half of the fraction because it would be a negative 9 in that case, making this my final answer. All right. For B, same idea. I'm going to first deal with any negative exponents I have, which is a to the negative 4. Looks like that's it. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to move that right down here. I'm going to scratch this out here so I can't see it no more. And then we're going to go ahead and start simplifying, starting with my coefficients. So I got negative 49 and 7. Negative 49 divided by 7 is negative 7. Now I move on to my A's. I have A2 on top, A3, and A4 on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and leave A2 on top for now and simplify my bottom half first. A3 times A4. Those multiply, so I'm going to add the exponents to get A7. My B's, I have B8 and I have B6. One's on top, one's on the bottom, meaning I need to subtract 8 minus 6, which gives me B2. My C's, I have C1 and C5. Those again are going to subtract to give me C4. Now I'm not done because I still have an A on the top and the bottom. So now let's do my A's, A2 and A7. Those are going to subtract. And I'm going to get negative 7, B squared, C4 with A5 on the bottom because 2 minus 7 is negative 5 and negatives go on the bottom half, making that my answer. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's get into this new rule we're talking about today. Before we can do that, let's take a look at this, these solved out exponents, okay? You do not need to write this down. So x to the 5 power. Notice that means that I have x times x times x times x times x, which is just the same as x to the 5th. So what happens when I have 2x in parentheses and I see it's going to the 4th power? What does that mean? Well, what that means is I'm taking everything inside here and I'm multiplying it by itself 4 times. 2x times 2x times 2x times 2x. Well, really, that means that I'm going to end up doing 2 times itself 4 times and x times itself 4 times to give you the answer 16x to the 4th. As you continue down the line, you'll notice that same type of idea happens. On the next one, I'm multiplying x squared by itself 5 times to get x10. 2x to the 3rd times to the 4th power, I'm multiplying 2x to the 3rd by itself 4 times. So let's try one ourselves. I have 3x in parentheses to the 4th power. What do we need to do here? We need to do 3x times itself then 4 times. So what does that mean? That means I'm going to have 3 to the fourth power, x to the fourth power. So in my calculator, I just need to type in 3 to the fourth power in order to get my answer. So let's do that. 3 to the fourth power, that is 81. X to the fourth. And that's my answer. Now, some of you might already be figuring out a rule, what the rule is. Each one of our exponent rules have had a rule. So what's the shortcut here? The shortcut here is our power rule is, if I have a to the m to the nth power, I can just take this n exponent and this n exponent and multiply them as you see here. However, you can, as we say, stamp this out, whatever's inside, the number of times of the exponent on the outside, and you can get it just as easily than just memorizing the rule. All right, let's try some more of these. I have 2x squared to the third power. Again, we can stamp this out. 2x times 2x, and these should be squared times 2x squared. Well, that means I'm doing 2 times itself 3 times, and x squared times itself 3 times. So in the end, I'm doing 2 to the third power, which is 8, and x 2 times 3, which is 6. All right, let's try the next one. 4xy to the fifth. Okay, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, and that's 5. So that means I have 4 times itself 5 times, x times itself 5 times, and y times itself 5 times. The only part I need to put in my calculator is what is 4 to the fifth power, which is 1024, x to the fifth, y to the fifth. And that's my answer. So now I'm going to get to the point of, I'm not going to end up doing my stamping that out as much. I'm going to go ahead and start using my rule. So my rule says, based on what I was seeing here, whatever this exponent is, I'm just going to put it right here on my coefficient. And I'm going to take whatever this exponent is and multiply the two. So on this next one, I'm going to do negative 2 to the fourth power and x 2 times 4. Now, you want to make sure that when you put this in the calculator, you put parentheses around negative 2. Otherwise, it will not do negative 2 to the fourth power. It'll do 2 to the fourth power times negative 1. So when I do this negative 2 to the fourth power, I get positive 16. And x 2 times 4, which is 8, making that my final answer. I can do the same thing on the next one. X 2 times 1/4, y 3 times 1/4. So that gives me 2/4 and 3/4, which is also the same as x 1/2, y 3/4. All right. Now, if I have negative exponents, can I still do this? Yes, I can still do this. Now, if you want to go ahead and move everything to the bottom, if it's on top, and if the stuff's on the bottom, move it to the top first, that is okay. So here, for example, on this first one, this would change to 1 over 2x, y, negative 5 to the third power. Now that negative 5 there, that's inside the exponent, inside the parentheses, I didn't change that because that part didn't get moved. Only the parentheses part did. So I get know what, guys? Actually, we're going to do this a little bit different instead. Instead of moving everything first, let's go ahead and let's just multiply this out. I think that'll make this actually a lot easier than if we moved our negative exponents. Okay? So 2 to the negative 3, x to the 1 times negative 3, y to the negative 5 times negative 3. So I get 2 to the negative 3 power is 1/8. X to the 1 times negative 3, which is x to the negative 3rd, meaning x to the 3rd goes on the bottom. Y to the negative 5 times negative 3 is y to the 15th power. And there's our answer. So I got time for this last one. I'm going to work it real fast. So I got 4 to the negative 2, which is 1/16. I have 8 times negative 2, which is x to the negative 16. I got negative 5 times negative 2, which is y to the 10th. I still have 8x to the 3rd on the bottom. So my final answer is y to the 10th over 16 times 8, which is 128, x to the 19, and that's my final answer. Make sure you guys go do your check for understanding, and that's it for today.